The most common phrase used to pressure Christians to support same-sex relations is, love is love.
Pressure? Oh, you poor baby. You think they're trying to get you to not treat people who have done literally nothing to you like, everyone else, aka people? Deploying a simple slogan is pressure. That's rough. Not in the fact that anyone might do that, but that you take a simple catchy phrase designed to quickly explain that two consenting adults loving each other, no matter what you think of how they may or may not do the do, is just as valid as any other two consenting adults loving each other no matter how they do the do. But of course, being an apologist, you take it personally. And why not? You literally think the universe was made for you. Why wouldn't you think other people's relationships are about you as well?
Christianity is all about love, right? And same-sex relations are often loving, so Christians should support them, right?
Well, that's just the thing, isn't it? Christianity pretends to be all about love, but it kinda isn't. It's mostly about doing what you're told, based on the many interpretations of various sect leaders, and what they decided it means this time. Maybe that'll be, no, it's all about love, man. Or maybe it'll be fire and brimstone with gleeful celebrations at the idea of another person's eternal suffering, which they will then make believe is just because they love you and want you to avoid it. But again, only if you do as they say, which is less love and more horrendous coercive bullshit that you can call love if you want, but the rest of us call it abuse.
This even works on people who are not Christian and just follow general secular morality.
Works on, like it's some kind of frigging Vulcan mind trick that makes it so some apparently insane homophobic nutter will suddenly snap out of their fervent anti-gay rage and go, oh, I get it now. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Fact is, most people who hold to some form of secular morality kind of come with the gay am okay by default, due mainly to the simple fact of having literally no reason to give a shit what two grown adults do in the comfort of their own home or blimp. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are absolutely people who don't believe in God, but are, for whatever reason, anti-gay. Presumably, it's some sort of social hang-up that if they really thought about, would have to admit it's got nothing to do with them. So if the other person is happy, why the hell do you even care? And if you're like, but they have parades. I'm sure there are 100 other parades that you don't give a shit about that you also don't complain this much about. Get over it.
Because nobody's gonna seriously say love is bad. Well, unless you're an incel on 4chan.
I'm sure you would know better than me on that front, mate. And also, I've watched the video. You might not literally use the words in that order, but you are definitely trying to say that love is bad if it's not the prescriptive type of love that you've decided is okay and nothing else.
But it can be hard to tell at first what this is even supposed to mean. Taken literally, it's just x equals x, which is a tautology.
Wow, that would sound really clever if it wasn't a total misunderstanding of how language works. A thing that you never do in every single frigging video. Almost like there's a reason that you have a bunch of incredibly stupid opinions. But no, it's not a tautology, certainly not in the same way that x equals x is. Because the first love refers to types of love between various different people. The second refers to the overall concept of love, aka caring for one another. So if you really want to be dumb about it, what it actually says is the love between any two consenting adults is deeply caring for each other. Makes you sound kind of stupid when you put it like that.
But if you look more closely, there's actually a hidden argument here to try and get you to support same-sex relations.
It's all got to be some sneaky, tricksy conspiracy, doesn't it? It can't just be what it is. No, it has to be a duplicitous attempt to fool you into something. And the thing is, you don't even have to think of it in terms of support. You don't have to celebrate pride to not be a massive jackass about same-sex relationships. Telling them they are wrong and against God and going to hell and all sorts of other shit things to say to someone for no good reason, really. You do not have to do any of that and yet still not explicitly support it, whatever the hell that is actually supposed to be. You just ignore it. Because again, it really has nothing to do with you. It's the same way the vast, vast, vast majority of gay people completely ignore your heterosexuality, even though they wouldn't support it. They also don't go around telling you that it's wrong and you'll be going to gay hell because you're against gay God. You know why? Because they don't give a shit. You see how easy that is?
It goes something like this. Premise 1, love is good. Premise 2, same-sex relations are loving, or at least they have the potential to be. Conclusion, therefore, same-sex relations are good, and that means Christians should support them because Philippians 4:8 tells Christians to support whatever is good.
Oh no, boys and grills, he's cracked the secret code, where 3 words is actually this complete syllogism with a whole biblically based extra conclusion to go with it. And it's certainly not a clear sign that you are such an incredible solipsist. You have decided everything anyone ever says is a secret coded message that only you can solve. Although, to be fair, most apologists make a habit, get it, of reading way too much into sets of words that probably don't mean half of what they think it does, if any. So, good job on consistency, I guess.
So, where's the error here? That's what we're going to find out.
Somewhere in your brain, I assume, where it just got switched off when someone told you goddamn real one time. And since then, you haven't been capable of forming your own opinions about things based on real-world harm that they do, or more appropriately, don't do in this instance. And instead allow other people to tell you what to think, and then desperately justify that massive intellectual laziness, instead of actually thinking for yourself and having less shit opinions.
But first, only a small percentage of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed, so if you want to see more, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. If you liked the video, make sure to click the like button, and if you didn't, make sure to click the dislike button twice.
I do really need to be better at doing that sort of shit. You would think after the million years or so that I have been doing this, I would remember to do the old, hey guys, like and subscribe, because otherwise I'll explode. But like the stupid asshole I am, I get too caught up in making the actual video I like rather than engagement baiting. Oh well, I guess do that stuff, but for me, because of how handsome, famous and good at the sex I am. Cheers.
The premises are both technically correct, but there is a subtle equivocation fallacy. An equivocation fallacy is when you change the definition of a word in the middle of your argument.
But it doesn't. It's not making the argument you decided it is, so the only person technically doing that is you. It's actually an absolute textbook straw man, taking something someone did not say and refuting that instead of engaging with what they did say, which is comparatively very little. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not more to love is love. Obviously there is, because again, that's how words work. But this completely the opposite take, that there's essentially a goddamn thesis hiding in about 10 letters, is so absolutely absurd, I wouldn't believe someone was saying it unless they were you, because at least that checks out.
So, for example, you could say the DMV is a nightmare, and nightmares only last a few minutes, so therefore, the DMV only lasts a few minutes. If only that were true.
Right, but ignoring the whole extra sentences you have stapled onto a 3-word catchphrase, even if we accept the fact that the love is love loves have 2 subtly different meanings, that's how it's supposed to work. They are supposed to be different. Otherwise, as you said, it would literally mean nothing. Like burger is burger or redeemed zoomer is stupid. Just saying the exact same thing twice, which would be completely as pointless as pretty much everything you've ever said.
But this is a fallacy because in the first premise, nightmare is used metaphorically, and in the second premise, it's used literally.
Well, you just kind of demonstrated how that was a false analogy, mate. The 2 types of love in the phrase are both still about relationships, whereas your analogy are wildly different uses to the point where only a complete idiot would think that they are supposed to be directly connected in a literal way. The 2 types of love are fine as slightly different but still linguistically distinct versions of the same concept. I swear, if I didn't know better, I would think you do this stupid shit deliberately just to annoy me.
Likewise, as any Christian girl who likes C.S. Lewis will tell you, there are different types of love. You could say, I love all people, which means you care about all people and you want them to be happy. You could say, I love money, which means money is useful to me so I can get other things. Or you could say, I love my wife, which means I am romantically attracted to my wife.
Ah, C.S. Lewis, the Christian idiot smart man. Seriously, I genuinely don't understand how that dumbass is considered worth quoting by every moron Christian, since so much of what he says is gibberitic nonsense. Also, the fact that you threw loving money in there and then downplay the frick out of it as simply, I respect its utility. Like, seriously, you know the phrase, the love of money is the root of all evil. Although, why should I expect you to know it? It's only in your book, though. But ironically, while you can give them all different specific meanings, the use of the word love can also just be replaced with a singular other word, and it would still mean the same thing. Care. You care about people. You care about money. You care about your spouse. It's largely about how much you care that really makes the difference.
You're using the same word, love, in all three cases, but it does not mean the same thing, and you can tell it doesn't mean the same thing based on how ridiculous it sounds when you switch the words. Then you're saying you want money to be happy, that your wife is only useful to you so you can get other things, and that you're romantically attracted to all people.
I mean, the last one has some somewhat creepy implications. Being attracted to all people, bit weird. But at the same time, when someone says they love all people, they don't actually mean it like that. So arguably, you could just take it as, I don't have a type, which would be fine. And then there's your wife being useful to get things. I mean, if your partner won't grab you a drink while they're already in the kitchen, is that really true love? And the I want money to be happy, I know you want that read as, I want the concept of currency to feel good about itself, but really, it just comes off more as, money will make me happy, which I don't know who popularized money doesn't buy you happiness, but yeah, it does. I mean, with enough of it, I could literally live the rest of my days in a swimming pool filled with whiskey, surrounded by dogs that can talk, telling me how impressed they are with my ability to float on my back. Living the goddamn dream there, mate.
Now, the first kind of love, meaning generally willing the good of someone, is always good. God loves everyone in this way. We're also supposed to love everyone in this way.
I don't know, man. Doesn't seem to me that God loves everyone from the way he acts in the Bible. Seems to be plenty of people he absolutely despises and does terrible things to because of how much he hates them. But even if it were true that he did that, loving everyone as a human being, what kind of naive nonsense is that? I mean, you could believe it's important that no one suffers unnecessary or that people live long and happy lives, but actually directly caring about everyone? I mean, even if you forget about world leaders that you think are making everything worse for everyone, which no matter your political alignment, you definitely think is happening. So loving them sounds pretty ridiculous. But even closer to home, people who treat you like shit, who are abusive and actively make your life worse. Loving them is not only silly, but could be actively harmful to your ongoing existence. So cutting those people out of your life is almost certainly a good thing. But don't pretend that in doing so it's some sort of love for them. It is only love for yourself, which in this instance would be an incredibly important thing to do.
But the second kind of love, meaning liking something a lot, is not always good. You can have love for the wrong thing. The Bible says love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. That's a type of love that is not good.
Oh, wow. So you do actually know something from your book. I am surprised. But yeah. I already demonstrated how the last one is also not always good. So basically, all three of these are going to be sometimes love is not good. I mean, talk about tautologies, Christ. Also, it comes with a direct implication that sometimes loving things is also, good. Which of course it is. So I don't know where the same-sex relationships are going to come in. But with your lazy setup, it seems to me that they would more comfortably come under the sometimes love is good thing banner. Because loving relationships are good.
And the third kind of love is also not always good. There are some romantic and sexual relations that are clearly condemned by the Bible, and most people can understand not all romantic or sexual relations are good. So when they say love is love, what they really mean is love is love. They are switching the definition of love in the middle of the argument. In the first premise, they're talking about love in a general sense, which is always good. But in the second premise, they're talking about romantic or sexual relations, which are not always good.
Look, we could play your stupid games all day, but it's not going to work. Because, when people are talking about sexual relationships in the context of love is love, they aren't talking about unhealthy ones. For any reasonable person, they literally mean adult, consensual, supportive relationships between relatively equal partners. No one, when they say love, is thinking, yeah, if I stick my dick in an owl, that's totally fine, and not a gross abuse of both the owl and, frankly, my dick as well. And anyone pretending that's what anyone means, since you're so fond of logical fallacies, is a slippery slope fallacy. Although when I say you're fond of them, I of course mean as in constantly fricking doing them.
Now, the progressive response will be to challenge that, to challenge the idea that any kind of romantic or sexual relationship can be inherently bad.
What the hell are you talking about? Of course there are plenty of relationships that can be inherently bad. Even when it comes to adult relationships, one between an authority figure and a person directly subject to that authority will essentially be universally bad. A doctor, a teacher, and even someone you're paying, like a lawyer. There's a reason that romance is often explicitly prohibited between any of those, like patients and students and clients. And there's no, but it's okay if they're straight exception. No one is arguing that there aren't plenty of ways that relationships can be harmful or toxic. It's largely about power dynamics. That's why the sexual relationships that all reasonable people instantly agree are bad will be because not only are there multiple other damaging elements, but the inherent power dynamics simply cannot possibly allow for safe and healthy relations.
They'll strawman the traditionalist view as seeing monogamous heterosexual marriage as always good and faithful, and all the other forms of relationships as being always bad and always unfaithful.
They will strawman us with this strawman I just made up. Sure, dude, whatever you say. No, wait, the other one. I don't think anyone thinks that you guys are quite that dumb, even if you aren't making a great case for it, but no one is saying that. However, there is an institutional problem with abusive relationships and coercing victims to stay with their abusives, and pretending otherwise is not a great look.
That's why one of their mantras is, form doesn't determine faithfulness.
I've literally never heard that in my life. Who gives a shit about the faithfulness of a relationship? Exclusively, at least. I mean, sure, it's important, but it's a fraction of the things that need to be good for a relationship to be, well, good. Respect, care, understanding, all sorts of other shit. If they go out of a relationship and never come back, they are almost certainly doomed, even if the person remains completely faithful.
They'll say there are many traditional marriages that are very unfaithful and abusive, and many same-sex marriages and even polyamorous relations that are very loving and caring. Generally, the most radical progressives will say there are no rules for what relationships are good or bad, as long as there is consent, care, and respect.
That's not radical, that's just how healthy relationships work. And I just know that you're going to have a quote-unquote counterexample that literally cannot contain any of them. And then you'll genuinely think that you've done anything other than the exact kind of slippery slope bullshit I always knew you were going to do.
As long as these qualifications are met, any form of a relationship could be good. You could have 2 men, 2 women, or a community of 67 people with 1 representative from each of the 67 genders. But in reality, traditionalists have never claimed that form determines faithfulness.
Genders. Oh, do piss off with that lazy shit. As if even relevant to a discussion on healthy relationships. Because you literally agree that it could be one with care and consent and respect. So what if they think there are a billion genders? Sounds like they would still be happy and no one would be victimized by it. And also, no one said you claimed the opposite of the straw man mantra. We literally don't care about faithfulness alone. Again, you could be the most faithful person alive and still be an absolute monster. That does not make for a good relationship, does it?
Traditionalists always acknowledge that there are many monogamous heterosexual marriages that are still unhealthy for this or that reason. We don't believe form determines faithfulness, but we do believe form can determine unfaithfulness, meaning there is no form of a relationship that will guarantee it's healthy and good, but there are some forms of relationship that are simply bad in and of themselves.
Well, then what the fuck does faithfulness even mean? Does it just mean bad? Or does it mean it won't last? Or what? Seems to me that if you had an answer beyond unfaithful marriages and bad, you would have said it. And had you actually staked a solid definition, it would have been obvious that it either didn't apply or that same-sex relationships would have been fine with such a position anyway. And I think you know that.
Even if there are a lot of good things in a relationship like consent, care, and respect, it's possible for the relationship to be bad simply by virtue of its form. Progressives will challenge that, but one example it's very hard for them to question is incest.
And there it is, the exact kind of relationship, essentially incapable of being based on consent, care, and respect. The kind that, much like previous examples, will inherently produce power imbalances regardless of the intentions of any of the people involved, any and all variations of which have lifelong grooming risks. Likely emotional manipulation, asymmetrical authority dynamics, all of which making genuine, uncoerced adult consent basically impossible, and thus 1,000,000% not worth the risk, which is one of the many reasons no one considers them to be healthy relationships, and so is utterly irrelevant to the conversation and is simply an attempt to paint perfectly healthy, happy relationships that you don't like with the same brush as ones widely understood to have massive problems. When you have to reach so low to make a comparison with things that are not even remotely the same, you automatically concede the argument by proving that you've got absolutely nothing but your arbitrary rules in your stupid book written by assholes.